Shalligators, welcome back. Happy New Year. I am so excited you're here. I'm so excited to greet a whole new year. There's so much that's in store for us this year. I really, I think after 2020, no one wanted to be like, this is going to be the best year ever, because I remember distinctly saying that. Yeah. But listen, there's always going to be hardships and there's always going to be blessings. But I really do think that all of us, if you're here on this channel, I want you to always remember that you are here because you are the 1% of the 1% in terms of self-awareness, goal setting, bravery. Did I mention self-awareness? And more than anything, you want to be better. And one of the goals I have for myself this year is I'm actually not dragging anyone else to the starting line. I'm not dragging anyone in my life to wake up to sobriety, Ozempic, self-awareness, goal setting, manifestation. Nobody. People can find me. And this is a long way of saying I want to devote a lot more time to YouTube and also the Montage, giving you guys more videos, because if you're here, you're past the starting line. No one's dragging you anywhere. And I think we all need to look around our life and be like, I am tired of trying to make people wake up and see that there's a better way to live, a better way to be, a better way to treat me. I'm not doing it. My energy right now is very immovable. It's like a statue of a goddess in a temple. She's not running around to individual houses. Hi, it's me, a deity. Would you like to worship me? No, that's fine. I'll go on to the next condo. You go to her and you bring something. You make an offering. You say a thank you. That's the energy we're going to start this year off with. And listen, you can't move forward into that positive energy until you clean out the negative. So today we're going to talk about Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox. I know this is long awaited. And I know I said I was going to give this to you guys before the year ended. I was actually living this lesson for you. And we're going to talk about how to be done for good. How to really step away from a relationship, whether it's a friendship, a family relationship, God knows a romantic one, that is not working, and how to really make it stick. Because we're all good at sending that deranged text that we have been working on in the Notes app. Maybe even ask ChatGPT to weigh in on. That's the easy part. That's the fun part, actually. That's what happens after that. How do we make that work? How do we truly move forward and be done forever? Well, we're going to talk about it. Like I said, woo! I've been doing it, but I've learned a lot along the way, and I'm here to pass it on to you. Before we get started, I actually have something new that I want to introduce this year. I've been wanting to do this for a really long time. I'm calling it an invocation. Like, it's a little poem pep talk that we're going to say at the beginning of every video that you're not going to memorize it right away. I'm going to put it down in the video description so that you can look at it. But the more I do it, the more this is going to seep into our consciousness. And I want this to be something that we can say to ourselves in a time of a self-confidence crisis. We're walking into a boardroom, into a bedroom, into a party, or we just need a little pick-me-up. And I want this to be something that we say that reminds us of our strength, but more than that, reminds us that we're not alone, okay? So I'm gonna say it. Somebody who's a DJ out there, please remix it. Can you imagine? Douchebag. Okay, wake the mighty women. We rise and claim our throne. We are the elites, but we are not alone. We trust our path and power. Strength is everywhere. With grace that moves like starlight, courage pure and rare. Okay, so we're gonna say that at the beginning of every video, and it's gonna slowly but surely, it's gonna sink into our consciousness. Also, I wanted to touch on something I brought up on my Instagram. If you guys don't know, I have decided to write a romantic fantasy novel because I had read so many bad ones. I'm like, I can and I will do this better. And I'm gonna. But I've been needing your guys' input, and I actually kind of want to like crowdsource this book. Like, if there's something I can't think of like a good word for, or like, help me with this creature. What do we name this thing? I'm going to be asking you guys for your input on Instagram. But one of the first questions I asked you, what is the biggest struggle of an alpha female? Because the book I'm going to write is our book. This is not a book for the weaklings who just, you can't do anything and suddenly they're magical. No, No, this is the book for the women who are already doing it all, right? And we're not really appreciated for that. In fact, we are, the number one word you guys said in that feedback, lonely. We're lonely and we're isolated and we're hated and ganged up on because, oh, I'm sorry, we're capable, we're trying to be better, we're hot, we're outgoing, we're brave in some category, and life just trashes us for that? Please know that you are not actually alone. We have the Shallon, and we all connect over just the way that we look at the world and move through the world. We have 35 different group chats. You get 5 big old juicy videos from me a week where we dig into nitty-gritty topics. Because let's talk about Megan and MGK. Girl, why you gotta get pregnant with that man's baby? Oh, so the last time we talked about them, he was cheating. Surprise, oh, surprise. And they break up. She hits the roof, but of course. And we talked about like just cheating in general and how to kind of cheat-proof your relationship if it is possible. But today, yeah, let's talk about how to be done. Like I said, I've been going through this. I got back with, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I got back with someone who I thought was the Twinflame. I know, just the cringiest words, but when you meet someone like that and you feel it, you're like, oh wow, I still acknowledge that it's cringy, but it has a beautiful celestial edge to it because I'm the one feeling it. And I actually think this person is literally just a liar. That's really fun. I've been talking all about it in the Shallon, and so many of you guys have been where I'm at, and I had to not just walk away, but slam the door on this person and say things like, I don't respect you anymore, and I actually pity you. And for a man like that, alpha male, very concerned with his image, very concerned with being respectable, didn't like hearing that. And it hurt. And it was supposed to. That was literally the point. And it's just been brutal. It's been brutal to walk away. So here's the things that I've learned about walking away from someone for good. Because when we think about MGK and Megan, half the news reports were like, they'll get back together. Half the news reports was like, she's done for good. I don't believe for a second that woman is done for good. I mean, to have a baby together, for goodness sakes. And you know, she's such like a moon child that I think she believes having a baby is like this celestial sign that this is my soulmate, even though she's got 3 other kids and she's not with that guy anymore, whatever. I don't blame her. I don't blame her. And the worst thing that you can tell someone or that you can hear when you're in a Megan position, when you're in a my position, when you're in your position, the worst thing is when people tell you it was never real. And he never loved you. And he was always just a fuckboy. I knew it. We all knew it. I knew he was going to do this. If you are watching a friend go through something like this, girl, please don't say that to them. Please. Because all you will do is entrench them into the love they have for this person. Why? It's called confirmation bias. Our brain is a what? A risk machine. You got it. Our brain is a risk machine. And we are faced, when our heart is broken, we are faced with an impossible choice. None of this was real. And therefore, my risk machine is irretrievably broken, horribly broken. I can't trust it. I can't tell when someone loves me or hates me, the 2 most distinct emotions on planet Earth. I can't tell the difference. Or let's just say hate and love are very closely linked. I can't tell love from apathy. That's door number 1. Door number 2. He did love me. He does love me, but fill in the blank. He can't commit to me. He's cheating on me with groupies. He hit me. which of these two nightmare scenarios do you want to live in? Let me tell you something. You will do yourself very few favors in terms of getting over someone by choosing door number one and saying that none of this was real. However, for some of you might be in the comments, and please tell me, you might be like, no, that is actually the only thing that gets me over it. Then rock and roll with that, girl. Like, absolutely, don't let me talk you out of that. If that's what works for you, do it. Because that might, I can see the logic behind it. And this could just be my own broken heart talking to me. But I turned the corner in getting over this guy over the holidays. I mean, it was truthfully a horrible holiday. It was very upsetting. But I got over it when I talked to my one friend who knew us both. She actually set us up. And she's like, of course he loved you. Of course he loved you. He is lacking in capability. And that, just like the validation of like, I wasn't crazy. I can be brokenhearted and I can be grieving this person. And I can even be grieving who I thought he was gonna be and the potential that I saw, because you know what, you can't date potential. And I can grieve the future without adding the story that actually none of that existed. Because listen, we talk about this all the time. Pain versus suffering. Pain is the loss. Pain is the betrayal. The suffering, because that's what makes it last. The suffering is the story you attach to that. And 9 times out of 10, that story has something to do with you being stupid. You're a clown. Your risk machine is broken. You can't tell the good from the bad. Great. And that suffering is what keeps you stuck. And ironically, that suffering is what sends you back. That suffering is what sends you back because of the risk machine, because of the cognitive dissonance that it kicks up, that your brain is like, I can't sit in this. I cannot sit in this and think that I got conned. If you ever watch true crime documentaries, I love stuff about fraud and con artists because of the psychology behind it. You will see people and they'll invest their money with someone. That person will lose all their money and that person will write them another check. They'll write them another check. Look at the fucking Fire Festival guy. We don't like to think that we got conned. We will do anything. We will keep going back to that poisoned well to prove to ourselves, no, I can trust my own instincts. No. I need to see that look in his eye. I need to know I'm not crazy. That's the worst thing we can feel is crazy. You might be thinking, I don't know. Okay, he did love me. Why aren't we together? You heard me talk about this maybe. The talking dog. The talking dog. My dog Cowboy, who I gobble off his little snout every night. I love him. I could ask him, hey, what time is it? 500 times. I could yell it. I could threaten it. I could offer him a bribe. He will never answer me. Never. He can't. He just can't. He will stomp his little paws and he'll look at me. His ears will do that little thing. And he will never be able to answer. He is maxing out, looking at me, listening to me like, do I hear the word treat in there? Do I hear ball? I don't know what she wants. He is doing the absolute max. People are this way too. We as women who are incredibly capable, incredibly expansive, we are growers, we are achievers, we are fixers, we are find-a-wayers. That's who we are. This is like crazy to us. It's crazy to us. Not on a dog. We've accepted it on a dog, but on a person. Because when we say, I love you, the word that comes after that is and. I love you and I'm going to be there for you. I love you and when you're in pain, the world stops and I listen. I love you and I will protect you. For many, many people out there, what comes after I love you is not and, it's but. I love you, but I'm always going to want to fuck those groupies. I love you, but my mom's always going to come first. I love you, but I have such a deep, deep wound and self-hatred someone like you who's very healthy is always going to make me feel very unsafe. That's a fun thing to hear. And again, for women like us, we don't have the I love you but. We don't have the I love you but. And if you can switch into the truthiness that is actually what you're dealing with. You're dealing with cowboy who's like, I don't know what you want. I can't talk to you like you're talking to me. If you can switch into I'm an I love you and they are an I love you but, your brain can be like, okay, we're not crazy. We're actually superior. Yeah. Great. I love this. I love this. For us, it's the best. Here's why that is ultimately better. First of all, it'll be a lot harder for you to convince yourself to keep going back to an inferior. It will also be better for you to understand that this dog that can't talk, it's nothing personal. Cowboy's not going to respond to Barack Obama. He's not going to respond to Barbara Streisand. He's not going to respond. He's not going to respond. Okay? His capabilities are what they are. And we see people not giving us what we want. And we as people who are capable of giving so much, we see those people as purposefully withholding. And then they move on and date someone else. And what do we assume? She's getting everything he would never give to me. No. I could give Cowboy to Barbara Streisand. I don't know why I'm using her as an example. He's not going to talk for her either. He just can't. He just can't. So that is the first step in being done. Understand what you're dealing with here. Understand you're dealing with the dog that is just maxing the F out, okay? The next thing you're going to do, you're going to understand that you cannot find healing in the same place you got hurt. Unfollow this man or mute him. If you still want him to have access to your socials and look, okay, fine, whatever. I get that. It is ultimately healthier to just block someone out of your life entirely. I am a revenge-based person, and truly someone seeing how hot I am, how hot I will continue to be, how paid, how successful is the cruelest thing I can do. Cruelest thing I can do. So of course I'm going to still give them access. However, and you got to be real with yourself. Do you have a history of stalking this person back? Are you going to be looking at his stories? Are you going to be looking at your stories, seeing if he watched them? If so, you can't do that. You can. But again, you're not going to find healing in the same place you got hurt. Let's say you go skiing and you break your leg on the mountain. Do you stay on the top of that mountain to recuperate? No. The first thing they do is get you the fuck off the mountain. And you know what else the doctor says? You're not going skiing again anytime soon. You're going to have a completely different way you spend your weekends. You're going to have a whole different routine. Put the skis in the garage. You're not going to use them. Not until you are 100% good as new healed. Then we'll talk about it. Even then, risky. Risky. Because the most vulnerable bone to break is the one you already have broken. I've broken 6 bones. I can tell you this for facts. Have you ever had a friend and she's like, oh my God, Nate totally reached out to me the other day and texted me Merry Christmas. And you're like, how did he do that? Because you blocked him 2 months ago, right, Molly? Right? And what do you think in that moment? You're like, you wouldn't know. Why do you keep tearing open the stitches and wondering why nothing is healing? Let me tell you this, ladies. The devil will never just let you walk out of hell. He's never going to let you walk out of hell. Do you know how many friends I see that are like, I told him, like, listen, if you can't make a commitment, you just need to stay away from me. If you can't do X, Y, Z, then you need to walk on by. How many of those men actually looked at them and said, you know what, Kristen? I can't give you what you need. You're right. I will see myself out. I will not contact you again. Zero in their life, 0 in my life. Why would they? Why would they? They don't give a fuck. They don't care that they're hurting you. If they did, they would stop doing it. Or they don't appreciate how deep the hurt is. That's not your job. Remember, it is not your job to drag someone to the starting line of, hey, here's how you have to treat me. Hey, this thing that you're doing that would hurt literally anyone on planet Earth hurts me. You know how it hurts everyone? It also hurts me because I am also someone on planet Earth. I am not having these conversations anymore. I'm not 101. I'm not girl behavior 101. I'm not hygiene 101. I'm not here's where the G spot is 101. I'm not motherfucking 101. I am PhD. I'm speaking at Davos, grad level, like beyond level. I'm not 101. You aren't 101 either. The devil won't let you leave. He's going to do everything he can to pull you back because it benefits him. It benefits him. Yeah, he's going to heart your story. He's going to comment a fire emoji. He's going to text you, Happy New Year, girl. Hope you get everything. Whatever, he's going to fucking text you. He's going to do that. And I say this all the time. I cannot remember the last man who broke up with a girl. I know plenty of girls who get ghosted. I know even more girls who are made so crazy and so miserable in their relationship that they have to break up with themselves. That was my situation. I had to initiate my own breakup. And I walked away. I walked away from a man who was combat ineffective, so to speak. Who, again, I believe turned out to be just a rampant liar and cheater. Rampant liar and cheater. He didn't have the breakup conversation with me. I had to initiate it. Because the devil doesn't want to let you leave. Because look, if you stick around and he's able to give you the bare minimum and you keep on sticking around, you honestly think this man is going to wake up one day and be like, she deserves better. He won't. Studies show he won't. He won't. And that right there, doesn't that just say it all? I mean, isn't that sickening? Isn't that sickening? This is someone you want to keep going back to? Who knows they're hurting you and doesn't care? Or worse, they don't know because they're that blind to anything that's going on with you because they also don't care. And you might be saying, this directly seems to contradict what you're saying about, no, he does love you. He just can't X, Y, Z. Just because someone loves you, that is not a reason enough to stay. Because of course they should love you. Of course they should love you. And we have put the bar so far down in hell that's like, but he loves me. Okay, that's like saying, well, he brushes his teeth every day. Girl, yes. Is that all you're requiring? No. We've got to do better. We've got to do better. Like, yes, I want you to acknowledge that he loved you so that you don't feel crazy. And I want you to view what you had as real. But I also want you to realize the second half of that truth, which is there is still so much more. There is out there the man who is, I love you, and it is not a world of, I love you, but I'm jealous of you and I'm going to tear you down. I love you, but I don't want you to go and live your own dreams. You got to be here just for mine. And when you're in it, when these relationships make you so starved and in such a beggar's mentality that you're gobbling up scraps, when you're that hungry and someone tells you, hey, walk away from those scraps, even though you're still really hungry, there's a feast out there somewhere. You're like, I don't know. I'm pretty hungry and there's scraps right here. I get it. It requires an insane amount of trust. And people have been asking, what are your resolutions? What are your resolutions? You know what my resolutions are? Trust. One word. My word of the year is trust. My resolution is trust. My goal is trust. I believe, and if you're in the Shallontage, I just did a whole video about this, Vision Boarding 101, how to make a vision board that works, Manifesting 101. And by the way, when you join, you can binge every video I've ever put on there. All the courses, Evil Week, the hookup tutorials, everything. So don't think this, because I've already posted, you can't see it anymore. But my theory is that women like us and gays, people like us who are so high level, we are aliens on this planet. We are like, we've got brains coming out of our ears. We have goals and everything. Those blessings, because we pray big dreams and we have big goals. We don't play small. They are just lining up like bullets in a gun. I live in Montana. My metaphors are gun related. They're just waiting. All we need to do is just clear the path. That's it. We don't need to be like, well, how am I going to get the yacht? How am I going to get this person? How? No. That's for lesser people. We just need to say, you got this? You got this. I'm just going to clear the path. Manifesting and switching into that trust mindset is like ordering food at a restaurant. Hardest part is figuring out what you want. But once you put your order in, how many times do you run back into the kitchen? Do you guys have ranch though? Like, do you need me to run out and get some? No, you have it? Are you sure? Do you want me to check the walk-in? You sure you have it? Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay. No, you said you have it. You would be escorted off the premises. That's not what they're going to let you do. And you don't ever have the impulse to do it. Why? Because you trust that it's going to come out of the kitchen. You trust it's going to be right. And what is your job? When you see the food coming, oh, wait, let's make some room. Let's make some room. Move your Diet Coke over there. Okay. Yeah, you can just set it down. What if it was that easy in life? What if that's all we had to do? Between the time of, I would like a salmon Caesar salad and it coming out, our job is to vibe with whoever we're with, enjoy that Diet Coke, look around and make eye contact with someone who's hot. Just enjoy life. Enjoy the wait. Do what we got to do to stave off being hangry and just like, where's the waitress? Why did she go to that table first? Why'd they get their food before us? Those are the worst kind of dining experiences. The best are when you're at ease. Talking, you're laughing. Oh my gosh, that was so fast. You didn't even notice the wait time. And you certainly weren't looking what the chef is doing. It's fine. You were in trust. So when you think of leaving this garbage man and stepping into this new life, this new year, and a winter of all fucking times, unless of course you're in Australia, it's horrifying. It feels catastrophic. I get it. But remember that you're already demonstrating that trust every time you go to a restaurant. Like, how many restaurants have you been to? I bet you're going one today. You know how to do this. You know how to do this. You just got to put it in this context and expand it out a little bit. That's all you got to do. That's all you've got to do. This is something that I did that made a huge difference for me. I made a promise to my higher self. And one of my best friends, Anna Lacombe, she's a career coach. She's like I would say she's closest to a life coach as I have. And we have Laura St. John, our mindset coach. I have Jess Forber, my body coach, who I've told you guys about. Look her up on Instagram, Jess, JESFORBER. She's like a Pilates-based mind, holistic body reconditioning coach. She's unbelievable. She'll make you look like Heidi Klum. Changed my body entirely. But Anna is like kind of life coachy. She does human design readings. She does career coaching. She does like mindfulness and meditation, positive intelligence stuff. But she's very spiritual, but also like a bad bitch. Look her up. She told me, because she was trying to like break a bad habit. And she's like, I made a promise to my higher self. I'm like, tell me about this. Tell me about this. Because for some of us who aren't religious, like if you can make a promise to Jesus or to your pagan gods or Buddha or whatever, amazing. But for some of us, it's like, that's a little bit difficult. What if you can imagine the ultimate version of you? The ultimate version of you. Mine, she's got beautiful wavy hair, like she's in the Private Lives of Mormon Wives, that show, The Secret Life, right? And she's the perfect weight, and her skin is gray, and her teeth are white, and she's relaxed, and she's happy. Maybe it's your inner child. Maybe it's you from when you were happiest in your life. But I want you to picture that you, that perfect, serene, trusting, all-knowing, intuitive, celestial being. And I want you to look her in the eye and be like, I promise I will not reach out to him. I promise. I'm like, okay, reaching out her perfectly manicured hand. It smells like jasmine and sandalwood. She's going to say, okay. And I made that promise to my higher God. And every time I was like, ugh. And every time I had righteous reasons that I needed help with something that only he could help me with, or something that truly reminded me of him, or something that arrived in the mail that I'd ordered for him, for us, whatever. I said no. I made a promise. I made a promise. Here's why this is so important. Because you know what these fucking relationships take from us? They take our trust. Trust in yourselves. It's horrible when you look back at everything you just gave away. I'm a pretty tough cookie. I've got some pretty high standards for myself and the people in my life. And I find myself eroded. And you're just the frog in the pot, as they say. It just happens so slowly and so gradually. And I mean, nothing is more demonstrative of this than an actual physically abusive relationship, you know? No one hits you on the first date. They get their claws all the way into you. And people are like, why? She just didn't leave. It's like, you have no idea how deep this person is within me. Like, no, I didn't just leave. Like, I mean, good for you if you did. And I'm not saying this guy was abusive. He wasn't. But it just goes to show that, like, that's an extreme example of, like, the corrosion and how slow it is. And then you step back and you're like, I'm so far from myself. If you told me 6 months ago this was the behavior I would be tolerating and evidently still seeking out because I don't want to let him go. Yeah, got it. Cool. I give advice for a living. I mean, it has a whole different level for me. But for any of us, it's brutal. And so when we make that promise to our high celestial self, that is how we find our way back to ourselves. That is the future we are holding on to. That is how we entertain ourselves while that salmon Caesar salad is getting made in the kitchen. So make that promise. Write it down. Write it down. And, you know, I used to make these promises to, like, my friends. But you know what? Like, no one is my keeper. I cannot expect other people to have the strength that I don't, which is why I think it's very powerful to make it with yourself. Like, let's have some accountability. And, you know, it does shine a light on the other areas in your life where it's like, hey, I don't keep promises to myself. Okay. Maybe make 2 promises. Maybe make 3. Hey, I'm not going to reach out to him. Okay. If he reaches out, that's a whole separate story. You know, whatever. You can have your own parameters if you don't think it's over. But it's like, I will not be reaching out. If he comes to me with a diamond ring and a therapy schedule and whatever, you can decide this. But then look around and be like, you know what? I'm also going to promise myself I'm going to make my bed every day. I'm going to take my vitamins 3 times a week. I'm going to walk the dog, whatever. Like, I'm going to make some other promise to myself. Because the void that someone leaves in your life will stay a void, and nature abhors a vacuum. What does that mean? It means spaces will be filled. You ever move into a new place and you're like, oh my God, there's so many cupboards. I'm never going to fill them. Yes, you do. You just find a bunch of crap to put in there. We see this in politics. A bad leader is better than no leader. Just ask the Taliban, who swept in after we deposed Saddam Hussein. There was a power vacuum, and that's an ideal recipe for a warlord. So here we are. So if you have this hole in your life and you don't fill it with positive things, you're going to fill it with negative things. You're going to fill it with something. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to fill it with him or just a different version of him. And this has been, if you've been in the Shallon Montage, you've watched me do this. You have watched this process over the last year plus. of not running back out, getting on the apps, getting back on an ex-boyfriend, like just replace, wallpaper, because I couldn't sit in the feelings because the feelings were just this bottomless pit of who the fuck am I? Who the fuck am I? What is my future? What is my life? Exactly. And that's the natural way we feel after any breakup, after any addiction snap, after any time we have had to walk out of hell. And I'll tell you, how I answer that question, how I fill that void, is with a bunch of, honestly, on paper, stuff that seems just like silly bullshit. I call it scaffolding, you know, like what goes around a building when they're repairing it. You look at scaffolding, you're like, huh, that's going to hold up that building. Okay. But it does. It does. It's like sticks and twigs and looks like a little erector set, but it does hold up a building. Part of my scaffolding routine, Pilates. I do Pilates 5 or 6 times a week. Tennis is part of my scaffolding. Tea. I drink this like special tea and whatever, like every day. My slutty fantasy books, my pajamas that are themed as my slutty fantasy books, taking my dog for a walk in the woods, certain podcasts that I listen to, certain candles that I light. As I list these things, when you compare them to someone you love, candles and tea and bath bombs, or someone you deeply loved. Okay. Cool. Yeah, no, I'm not sad anymore because I have a bath bomb from Lush. No, perfect. I get it. But this is the thing. That's why it's scaffolding. Scaffolding isn't the building. You don't live on the scaffolding. They don't tear down the Plaza Hotel, the Met Museum, and just climb this fire escape looking thing. We're just replacing it. No, the scaffolding is temporary, and the scaffolding holds up the actual main structure, which is you. And what's happening to that main structure while that scaffolding is up? It's getting repaired. Things are being done to it that needed to happen to get it into the state of glory. So you know what? Yeah, those bath bombs and my Basgaith War College hoodie from fucking Etsy, I'm such a loser. Those are hollow and small and don't really add up to a hill of beans if you're not doing the work on the building. And the scaffolding never comes down if the construction just stops. It's going to sit there forever. So then you have to go inward and you have to say, why did I put up with this? What was I telling myself? Why was I willing to sacrifice my time, my financial future, orgasms, the good opinion of my friends because he was so cringy and embarrassing? Why was I willing to do that and stay in hell? What was I getting out of this? What was I getting out of this? And I can look at my situation and I can say, he saw a side of me that other people don't, and he loved it and embraced it. Okay, so how about we look at this person, these people, as roadmaps and not destinations. For Megan Fox, I think the big appeal of MGK was he's fucking crazy. And he's like intense, yeah, whoa. He's just but he's like intense and he's like mesmerized by her. Let's contrast that with what she got out of. Her whole 20s and 30s were spent birthing babies with a guy who was on 90210, who's doing like jack shit all day. Like, what does he do all day? What the fuck does he do all day? He's not exciting. He's a dad. He was already a dad when she met him. It's like, it was a very quiet suburban kind of life. She wants to get her wiggles out. She meets MGK and it's like, like she's alive. She's alive. Okay, great. You would look at MGK and Megan and say, girl, he's not the only way you feel alive. Get your pilot's license. Learn Mandarin. Go live in Vanuatu for 2 years. I don't know. Like, there are so many ways that you can feel alive and connected to yourself and youthful and discovering and curious and all of these things that don't involve a man who is going to cheat on you and he looks like a Pinky Mouse. Wouldn't you say that to her? Wouldn't you say to me, Shallon, whatever this side of you is, I guarantee he's not the only person who would see it and like it. Maybe he's just the only person you've chosen to show it to. Or maybe you've shown it to a lot of people and they like it too. You're just like not tuned into that. Or for some reason you're overlooking that and not counting that with the same gravity. Like, was he going to save you from something? Kind of. He was going to save me from hating living where I live. He was going to give me purpose to be here. He was going to give me purpose to be here. This relationship was going to anchor me and it was going to make all the things okay. And when you say that out loud, you sound like such a pick-me loser. Like, of course. But we have to look at these things. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. I don't know what it is for Megan Fox. I don't know if it's deeper than that or if it isn't. But we owe it to ourselves to ask ourselves these questions because no one's irreplaceable. Dogs and cats are irreplaceable, but people, I know how wicked this sounds. Listen, friends, maybe no. Men, yes, girl. If you know what you're trying to replace, this is the problem. We go through life thinking he's irreplaceable, he's irreplaceable. Okay, well, what is it he was bringing to the table? Well, you know, the stuff and the love and the soulmate. Get granular. I mean, really get down to it. What was he giving you? What was he giving you? That balanced out all the horse shit. What he was not giving you, or the bad things he was also giving you. But we don't bother to quantify this. So of course we feel like these people are irreplaceable. What's on the list? What's on the list? But let me also just say, let me end this on a positive note, okay? Hope springs eternal, doesn't it? We always hope that things are going to work out. And they do. Are they going to work out with this person? I don't know. They might. I will say that there is no impossible reversal. There's no impossible reversal. I talk to you girls all the time. I talk to my married friends, my mom's friends. Very, very few people have had relationships that were just perfectly smooth the entire way through. A lot of times people broke up and they grew up. That's the thing. They broke up and they grew up. They broke up and someone on some end, ideally both people, were like, they had to realize some things. I bet you could tell me a lot about what he's got to realize, but what do you need to realize? What is it that he brought to your table that you did feel was irreplaceable? And how can you get some of that into your life now? And I know that, like, if you're Megan Fox, it's like, oh yeah, let me just leave the father of my unborn child and replace him with, wait, what did Shawn say? My pilot's license. Thanks. No, that's exactly the same. I'm not saying it's the same. I'm saying it's going to make a dent. And if you have enough things that are making enough dents, you change the shape of something. That's called construction. That's what we do to buildings. That's what the scaffolding is for. All of this adds up. All of this is pointing you in a direction. It's up to you if you want to examine what that direction is. So you know what? Down the line, you guys might get back together. But imagine if he came back to you and all those things that you were like needing, if that hunger, that beggar's mentality, imagine if that didn't exist anymore. And what he was offering you was still so nice and so enticing, but you were not starving the way that you were. And you could look at that relationship objectively and you could speak to him in a way that conveyed power, not lack, not desperation. Hey, you give X, Y, and Z to me. That's amazing. And you give it in a way, daddy, nobody else give it. But you are not the only person who gives it to me. I also get it from these places. And what if that could actually take pressure off this relationship? What if Megan and MGK comes back together? She's worked on herself. She's sorted out her demons with being, a mom when she could have been out blowing coke off of people's genitals. And she's like, you know what? You don't actually have to be my sun and moon and stars anymore. I can enjoy you for who you are. I'm not constantly trying to reconstruct your building. And we can have a more balanced relationship. Wouldn't that be amazing? So doing this emotional construction is going to lead you down two different paths. You are going to be set up to be the best possible partner when he realizes how stupid he is. And he does that work and he comes back around. Or you realize that you are putting yourself together to be a perfect partner to someone who doesn't need to make the same mistakes. Either way, your building has been renovated. That scaffolding can come down. You can still enjoy the tea. You can still have the bubble baths. For now, let those things prop you up. Let them be part of just this emotional structure of your life. I know it sounds simple. Cling to it. Simple things can make big differences. Make a celestial promise to your higher self. Unfollow him. Don't look for healing in the same place you got hurt. And more than anything, trust. Learn how to occupy yourself until the biggest piece of your life arrives in front of you. All right, Shalligators, Happy New Year. I will see you next time. I love you guys. See you in the Shallon.